What up, world? Established Rich coming right back at you. Tonight we got to talk about something that may seem small on the surface, but it says a lot about this person's character. We talking about a man who got invited into Russell Wilson's house for Thanksgiving. And instead of saying thank you and moving on with his life, he went on a podcast and turned it into a critique. I'm talking about Trayvon Boykin, former TCU star, brief stint with the Seahawks, and now a podcast host. And apparently now an expert on how another man's family should spend their holidays.
Russell Wilson, I went to his house for Thanksgiving. The weirdest, like he catered. So no, you know, like, bro, I come from a traditional country-ass black family.
We doing that.
If I got as much money as Russell Wilson, my whole family would talk about me so bad if I ain't fly everybody out there for Thanksgiving. And I'm sponsored by an airline.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not close to his family.
And maybe he not. But his mama wasn't there. Sisters wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and even though, like, it still weird to me. I'm just still, even if you don't food with your family, like, it still weird to me on Thanksgiving. My family gonna do the food. This is what we gonna. If you the one with the money, we coming to your house. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that part.
That's what we gonna do. So
yeah.
to get over there and catch Russell Wilson, like him, is literally him, Sierra Daddy, me, Noonie, Baby Future, the chef, and 2 nannies. And 3 dogs. And Baby Future at that time was bad as hell. hey, Baby Future, what you think? You know, everybody going around the room saying what they thankful for and shit. Like, Baby Future, what you thankful for? Oh, just thankful for. I think he said something about, like, I mean, he was a kid though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he was a kid. I think he a lot better than that. But at that time, like, bro was just, you knew, like, I think he understood it. Like, he knew he was just spoiled, just bad. You feel me? Like,
Let me walk this down slow, because before we get to the bigger lesson, we really got to sit inside what he said and what it reveals. Listen, he goes on his show and he basically says, I went to Russ's house for Thanksgiving and it felt weird. Why? Because the house wasn't packed with family. The food was catered and his mom and sisters weren't there. He literally says, where I come from, my family gonna do the food. If I had that much money, I'd fly everybody out. So right there, he tells you his whole mindset. He's not just describing a different holiday vibe. He's low-key judging the man. But here's the first question I had when I heard that. If your family's holidays are so perfect, why wasn't you with them? How you criticizing another man's table when you sit there eating at it? How you talking about what your family would do while you sitting in somebody else's house on the biggest family day of the year? Let's keep it real. Russ didn't have to invite his ass nowhere. You the backup. You the young guy. You the one still trying to find your place in the league. And yet, this man with all of that on his shoulders opened his door for you. Invites you into his private space with his wife, his kids, and his life. That's not a team meeting. That's not a charity event. That's a personal invitation, and you turned it into a talking point. It's one thing to say, hey, it was different than how I grew up. It's another thing to say, years later, it felt weird. Like you was sitting inside of some kind of defective family. You don't know what Russ's family dynamic is. You don't know who he protecting, who he's distancing himself from, what pain he managing, what boundaries he had to set. All you saw was a catered spread and a quieter house than you expected. And in your head, that became a story where you were the normal one and he was the weird one. And that's the part that rubbed me the wrong way, because it's not just about Russell Wilson. It's about the mentality of people who can't just say thank you and let it go. Look how wild this is. You wasn't with your own mama, but you judging another man because his mama wasn't there. You wasn't with your own sisters, cousins, aunties cooking, but you confused as to why his family wasn't filling up every room. You talking about traditional country family, but your traditional family didn't have a plate ready for you? And on top of that, you going public with it. This is not a private conversation between you and your friend in a car. This is returning somebody's hospitality with a hot take. And you can hear it in the fan reactions. They were like, nah, this ain't it. People were saying, so he invited you into his home and you go on a podcast to clown him? Other people saying, this is why he won't invite many people back. And they right. Because all it takes is one person like that to make you say, yeah, we done opening the door to everybody. See, what Boykins didn't understand is this. Some people ain't isolated. They're intentional. Some people have learned that big holidays with a bunch of people don't feel like love. They feel like chaos. Some people have been through enough drama with family that they'd rather protect their peace than put on a show. And guess what? If you invited into that peace, you honor it. You don't need to approve of it. You just need to respect it. Then there's the other part, the catered food. My brother, rich or not, some people just don't want their mama in the kitchen all day no more. Maybe he don't want his wife stressed out. Maybe he don't want his family flying in and out during the season. Maybe he just tired of holidays feeling like performances. So he pays somebody, they drop the food off, everybody can relax, nobody gotta break their back to show love. That doesn't make it seem less real. It just makes it different from what you grew up seeing. And let's be grown for a second. When you got the kind of money Russell Wilson got, you earned the right to design your holidays however you want. You wanna have 50 people in there playing spades and throwing bones? Cool. You wanna have 6 people in there watching the game and eating quietly? Cool. You don't owe nobody an explanation for why your mama wasn't in the kitchen cooking mac and cheese. And you definitely don't owe an explanation to a dude who's only there because you showed him grace. Now, let's zoom out, because this situation is bigger than football, bigger than Thanksgiving, and bigger than Russell Wilson. This is about what happens when you let the wrong people coast to you. This is about how your kindness can come back as a clip on somebody's podcast. We live in a time where everything is content. People don't even know how to just live in the moment no more. They gotta package it. They gotta name drop. They gotta tell stories that don't belong to them just to make their own life sound more interesting. You think you inviting somebody over for company. Come to find out, years later, you gave them an episode. This is why you gotta be careful who you feed, because some people don't just eat. They take notes. They watch your habits, your routine, your family dynamic, and then one day, when they need attention, they pull your life out their pocket like a story card. Yeah, I remember when I was at his house. Bro, it wasn't your house. You were a guest. You were there because somebody showed you love they didn't owe you. And that's the bigger conversation we need to have, because a lot of y'all watching this right now been through the same thing, just on a smaller scale. You ever help somebody out, and then later you heard they told a story like you did them wrong? You ever let somebody stay on your couch, eat your food, ride in your car, then hear them talking about how your energy was off? That's what this Russell Wilson story is. It's that same spirit with a bigger name attached to it. And it teaches you this: access is not a right, access is a gift. When you start understanding that, you don't feel bad about saying no anymore. You start realizing that protecting your peace is not being funny. It's being wise. There's levels to letting people in. Some people belong on your phone. Some people belong at the lunch table. Some people belong at events. Very few people belong in your kitchen while you sitting in sweats with your kids running around. Once someone shows you they can't handle that level of access without turning it into story time, you need to pull it back. Not out of bitterness, but out of intelligence. And if you watching this thinking, nah, that's petty, go ask somebody who got burned. Ask somebody who gave people their best and got gossip in return. That's why I always tell people, stop oversharing. Everybody don't need to know how you live, how you spend, how you celebrate, how you grieve. Once people learn your patterns, they start studying you instead of loving you. And the line between support and surveillance gets real blurry. What happened with Boykin is a great example. You can tell he been telling this story in private for years. You can hear it in his voice, like this a funny story he keep running back. Man, y'all should have seen that Thanksgiving. Ain't nobody there. The food was catered. Shit felt weird. Now it just happened to have hit a microphone. Me personally, I look at situations like this and I learn. I say to myself, okay, cool. This is why you can't be friendly with everybody. Not every teammate is family. Not every bro is a brother. They love saying, we family, until it's time to be loyal when the cameras ain't rolling. Until it's time to honor a moment by not speaking on it. And let's talk about one last thing. Envy in disguise. Because sometimes when people call something weird, what they really mean is, I couldn't relate and it made me feel uncomfortable. When you ain't used to peace, peace feels strange. When you ain't used to quiet, quiet can feel awkward. When you come from a house where every holiday is loud, drunk, arguments, people falling out, of course, a clean, controlled, catered holiday is gonna feel alien. But that don't mean it's weird. It might mean you just saw a version of life you never had a chance to experience. And instead of humbling you, it irritated you. So I'm gonna take y'all out like this. If someone invites you into their home, respect that. You don't have to agree with how they move, but you do owe them some respect. You owe them silence on the details that were never meant for public consumption. And if you the one doing the inviting, understand this. Stories like these are warning labels. They're reminders that you can be kind without being careless. You can be generous without being naive. You can be loving and still know where to draw the line. At the end of the day, Russell Wilson is gonna be fine. He got his family, his career, his life, his faith. The person who really took the loss here is the one who showed the world how little he understood gratitude. And if you learn anything from this situation, let it be this. Everybody should not have a story to tell about your house. Some people can support you from a distance, and that's perfectly okay. But hey, that's just my opinion. What's yours? Like, comment, subscribe, establish rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.